Hello, everyone. We are back. And today we are going to be talking about the three different kinds of eaters in nature. So let's do a quick review of where we've been. In the module prior to this one, we learned about big food, fast food, and junk food, and kind of the state of food right now in the marketplace and what we have available to us. And what I want to do with this module is take you way back to where food comes from, what it's meant for, and we're going over all of these nature lessons because I really want you to understand what food is meant for. And when you study nature, you can see how God designed food to be used in nature, and we can take lessons from that on how to use it ourselves to stay healthy. Um, yeah, one thing that I thought was really interesting was that when you're in nature, you never see really an overweight animal, right? They eat according to their type and according to how much they need, and they know perfectly well without thinking about it at all what they need to eat to stay healthy and to survive in their habitats. And we as humans, we have a little bit harder time with that because now coming from the hunter gatherer societies where we did pretty much the same thing as animals, and we ate what was available and what would make us healthy and give us energy. Now there's so much variety, and there's so many choices, and there's huge companies, the big food companies, that are making all kinds of foods that we didn't have 100 years ago. I think I read something where we have 10,000 foods now that we didn't have 100 years ago. All of our packaged foods are cookies and candies and chips and all the different things. So what we're doing with this lesson, with this whole module, is going back to the beginning, looking how nature eats and looking where food really comes from, so you can just start to think about food that way instead of thinking, what do I want? Oh, of course I want some chips, right? You can think, oh well, what would make me feel the best and what would make me the strongest and the most energetic. So that's why we're looking back at all this nature stuff, and it's really interesting. This is stuff you have to learn anyways, and so let's get into it. Where we've been already is we started out with a lesson on where food comes from. And generally, it comes from the wild or farms. In modern days, we have vegetables and meats coming from farms. In the ancient days, we had vegetables and plants and animals just in the wild. Both are, for our purposes, basically the same. And we'll get more into the different kinds of farms and ranches and fisheries later. But for right now, I want us to really just be thinking about nature and where our food comes from nature. So we've already studied food chains, and where the food chains start is with the sun. So the sun transfers its energy to the plants, and then the omnivores, the animals that eat only plants, eat the plants, and then the carnivores who eat only meat eat the animals that have eaten the plants. And then there's omnivores that eat both. So we're going to get a little bit into detail about what those three things are. I want you to think about all animals in nature, including humans, as either one of three things: an herbivore, which is a plant eater, a carnivore, which is a meat eater, and an omnivore, which eats both. Humans are omnivores. We eat both. We eat our steak or our chicken or our fish with some vegetables on the side. Some people choose to eat just vegetables, some people choose to eat just meat, but in general, humans eat both. Not the case in nature. In nature, some animals eat just vegetables and plants, and some animals eat just meat. So we're going to go over that and have a really good idea of how nature handles food. And that'll give us an idea of how we should handle food. Okay, so first of all, here you'll see we have herbivores here on the left-hand side. And these are plant eaters. They eat only plants. Here's a variety of different plants that you might see, and they eat only plants. The herbivores and the carnivores, the meat eaters, they have different kinds of teeth. So interesting. The herbivores, they have flat teeth, and the carnivores, they have sharp teeth. So the herbivores need flat teeth so that they can grind up the fiber in the vegetables. And so that's how you can kind of tell the difference between carnivores and herbivores is by looking at their teeth. Carnivores, they'll have really sharp teeth so that they can tear meat. So we'll go over what kind of animals are in each category and get a really good idea of how nature handles food. Um, some some examples of herbivores are cows. So we get cows are really interesting because we get our meat from cows as humans, but cows eat only grass. They eat only plants. They don't eat any meat themselves. So those big, huge, beautiful animals only eat plants. The same with elephants. Elephants eat only grass, and imagine the grass sustains their whole entire bulk. They're all that weight on those elephants. They're eating only vegetables. So it's very possible to live and survive just on vegetables. You will be missing some nutrients and you'll need to supplement with some other types of proteins and things like that. We get into that later. But yeah, these big animals, a lot of them eat just plants. Horses are another example of that. Deer, rabbits, these are all herbivores. So when you think of plant eaters, think of cows, elephants, deer, rabbits, these kinds of things, these kinds of animals. When you look here in the middle, you'll see all these different kinds of meat. Now, these are all raw meats, so they look a little raw. But the carnivores eat just meat, and we all kind of know what kind of animals are in the carnivore category. We have lions and tigers and sharks. What else do we have? We have wolves. We have birds of prey like eagles. These kinds of animals, like I said, they have sharp teeth and they have strong jaws, and they get their energy from the flesh of the animals that eat the plants, and the plants get their energy from the sun. So again, we're thinking about the food chain, how it starts with the sun, goes into the plants, the animals eat the plants, the animals eat the other animals, and that's how the food chain works and how energy is cycled through nature. Here in the omnivore category, here on the right hand side, these are animals, including humans, that eat both meat and vegetables. And they have a mix of teeth, just like us. So if you go to the mirror right now and open your mouth, you're going to see in the back of your mouth, you have flat teeth. And those are good for grinding vegetables. You also, in the front, have sharp teeth, and those are good for tearing meat. Now, your teeth aren't as sharp as a shark's teeth, for example, because you eat both plants and animals, and also you don't have to hunt for your food as in the ways that the sharks do, for example. So examples of omnivores include us humans, bears. Bears eat both plants and a lot of fish and a lot of other animals. Pigs eat everything. Raccoons eat everything. Lots of different types of animals are omnivores as well. So what I want you to see on this slide is the Latin words for vor means to eat and ingest. So all of these words have the word vor in it. And a lot of our words come from Latin roots. So that's what we're looking at here. So we have herbivore. Herb means plants, vor means to ingest. You eat only veggies. Okay. Here, carnivore. Carne means meat. Vor means ingest or eat. That means you eat only meat. Omnivore, omni means all. And so vor means eat, and so you eat all. So this is an easy way to look at these words. Just break them up and look at the herb. That makes sense because herbs are plants, right? Herbivore, you eat plants. Okay, carne means meat. Carnivore, you eat meat. Omni means all. Omnivore, you eat meat and plants. So these are the different categories. If you look here, I gave you a little example of all of the attributes and all of the descriptions of each category. You have your meat eaters here, your carnivores, your kind of scary picture of the lion eating some kind of animal. We're not sure what that is, but these are animals that eat other animals. Sharp teeth, strong jaws, lions, tigers, wolves, eagles, sharks. Sharp teeth. You can see this lion has really sharp teeth in the front of its mouth so that it can tear the meat off the bones there. In the middle here, herbivores. Herba means plant. and vor means to eat. So here are your plant eaters, and here's your big gorilla eating a lovely little salad that he's gathered. They eat veggies only, no meat. They're vegetarian. They have flat teeth like we have in the back, and they're good for grinding up vegetation that has a lot of fiber in it that's hard to grind up. We've got our cows, our elephants, our horses, our deers, our rabbits, things like that, animals like that. And then here's our beautiful human, omnivore. These are the meat and the plant eaters. Omni means all. So remember that. Omni means all, and vor means to eat. So these these animals, including humans, have teeth like ours, some flat, some sharp, and they eat plants and animals. So when you're thinking about the types of animals in nature and how they eat and where they fit into the food chain, I want you to remember carnivore, herbivore, and omnivore. You don't have to remember the vor, it just means to eat. So just remember carne, herb, and omni, and you'll have this concept down pat. One other thing I wanted to touch on here in this lesson is back to the food chain. Each one of these types of eaters falls into one of the categories on the food chain. So, in the past lesson, we learned about producers, which are the plants. Producers produce their own food from the sun's energy. Consumers would be our herbivores, they eat the plants. Predators would be our carnivores, and they eat the consumers. And then we have at the very bottom, we have decomposers. When the consumers and the predators die, their bodies break down and into the soil. And then we have things like mushrooms, fungi here, or worms, maggots, even the yucky maggots, all kinds of different insects that will break down the bodies of the animals, put the nutrients that they have received from what they've eaten back into the soil, and then you're back to the top, and the producers and the plants grow from the soil. So it's a big circle of life. It's perfect. It's beautiful. We want to do our best to safeguard it and keep it healthy and vibrant so that all things in nature can eat, including us. And this just gives us a really good idea of where we fit in to the food chains and how we eat and what's healthy for us to eat. And that gives you a good idea of how you can think about food as you grow up. Here's another way to look at it. We have our producers up here. That use the sun to make their food. We have the consumers, the plant eaters. We have the carnivores, the meat eaters. We have the decomposers. Here's some pictures of some maggots, which I'm sure some of you love. And this is the whole system of nature and food in nature. And I really want you to think about these lessons as we go through the rest of Sizzle Kids and we go through the rest of our lessons about what food is and where it comes from. This is what it is, and this is where it comes from. In the next module, we're going to be getting into where we get our food, all the way from the wild, like we're learning right now, all the way up to supermarkets and everything in between. So I want you to think about this kind of like spectrum of where we get our food, and I want you to start here with the nature lessons that you've learned. So this are the lessons about carnivore, herbivore, and omnivore. And I think that if you ever need to look back to any of these lessons, just take a look at these and remember carne means meat, herb means plants, and omni means all. Vor means to eat, and then you'll know this concept forever. All right, we'll see you in the next lesson.